Right, the ball bearings came yesterday, so I've installed the 35 ball bearings, 1/8-inch ball bearings in there. I'm now going to put on this nut which goes down over them. I'm back in the shed again today. It's pretty cold here in Ireland. It's not good weather to be out anyway, so again the space is a bit restricted in the shed, but we do the best we can. Right, so that's that. I just need to tighten that up and put on this tightening washer over it, and then I can put the handlebars back on. Okay, so I'm now going to put this on. I have the other one tightened, and this one just tightens down on top of it, like so. Just check to see if it's down.
18 weeks. 18 weeks. 18 weeks. 18 weeks.
Right, it's not fully down, so I'm going to have to tighten it with a spanner. Right, the next thing I'm doing now is I'm fitting the cable for the strangler and tickler operation, and I'm looking at the book here. On the other end, sorry, not on the other end, here. This piece goes on here, like so, and the nut goes on there like that, and the knob and the circular thing will be above here, and the little angle bracket and nut will be under here. And according to the instructions, it says to bring it up through that hole there, which is on the side of the near the Prima sign there, and bring it down there where I've brought the speedometer cable. So I'm going to try and fit that there now and see how I get on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the cable a little bit, then I'm going to put this up through the cable and the nut, and so that it can attach there underneath that. Okay, that's what it looks like underneath now, with the angle bracket and the nut in place, and that's it in there, and that's how it looks on top. And I've taken the cable out through here. I hope that's right now. I'm not 100% sure, but all will sort itself out when eventually I get to put the engine on. So that's how it goes there now. Putting your continued participation in government in doubt at the time. Is this the matter now? Strangler and tickler cable is now installed, and there's no hope of installing it if the speedo is actually in position. You haven't the hope of doing it, so that would have to come out if you were to do it. Right, I was going to fit the toolbox, which is here, and I've cleaned it up and repainted it, and I'm looking at the book, and it says fuel tank removal and fitting, and remove the toolbox, see figure 76, which is here. Take off the left hand side panel, which we don't have on anyway, unscrew the mounting bolt 10mm SW with lock washer, and take off the toolbox, replace in reverse order. Right, and this is what the picture looks like. Okay, and I definitely have the right box, because
but again, you know,
the little bracket coming off of it is at the angle shown on the picture, and it shows a little bolt there to go through. But now the tank is in position, and that's where the tank is attached, but for some reason that won't work there, so I don't know at the moment what to do with that. So I'm just going to have to leave it for the moment. This is the ignition coil, which could actually have been fitted earlier, I think. It actually, this is the holder for it, which goes on over it, and it actually fits in there, which that's one of the bolts that actually holds on this mudguard here, on which the spare wheel is attached. So I could actually have attached that earlier, but I'm going to attempt to do it now. The problem I have is that the upper part of the bolt, you can see it there now, is inside there, so I'm just hoping that I can actually hold that with a spanner while I actually tighten it up. So we'll attempt it anyway and come back when I have it done. I've put in a bolt in there which tightens up onto the coil, right, and it's I've installed a 5x20mm. I thought 6x20 would do, but it's actually only a 5x20. So I'm going to now attach the upper part of it here, underneath here. Okay, I have just installed and tightened up the 6mm bolt, and the 5mm bolt I'm just going to tighten it up now, because you can actually move it backwards and forwards. It's been fiddly, but it can be done. I suppose if the bike was fully together and you had to take it out, you'd have to do it this way. So if I had my time over again, I would have installed it after installing this mudguard, before I installed the spare wheel mudguard and all those fittings. Now fitted and in position, but as I said, it probably would be easier to do it before this mudguard is attached. Anyway, hindsight is a great thing. Right, I'm just cleaning off these two cowlings. One, as far as I know, is for the covering the carburetor. I'm not 100% sure what the other one is, but it'll become clear later on once I get to put it in underneath the frame here. I'm after cleaning off one of the cowlings there now, and it actually attaches here with a 5x12mm bolt, but there are no instructions on the book about it. And this part here clips over here, which is obviously one of the connections for the engine, so I'm not going to put anything there at the moment. I'm just going to put the 5x12mm bolt there. I think what it does is that it protects the engine here from any spatters of water and stuff like that on a wet day. I think that's what it is anyway. I've attached that there now with 5x12mm bolt washer and a spring washer to keep it in place. Now I'm kind of fiddling at the moment, putting on bits that more than likely I'm going to have to take them off again to get the engine back in. These side back steps and, you know, these other pieces here, it appears as if they have to be taken off to actually work on the engine, so I'm just fiddling a bit at the moment, finishing off some bits and pieces. Anyway, we'll crack on and get another one of the fairings cleared off. It's over there. Right, this morning I've just decided to come out and do some work on this. I'm waiting on tools come from Germany to open this engine here, which has been very frustrating to deal with, as well as the other one. But look, it is what it is. So I decided to come out and decided to start putting these on. They can be taken off again, which they will have to be taken off to install the engine. But originally on these rear step areas, there's a pin going through which had a threaded end. It's actually very flat on top, and that's where it goes there, and that's where that goes there. So what I'm doing is, because the threading has gone off of them and they're not long enough, I'm actually drilling them out to actually install bolts into the different holes. So that's what I'm at the moment. Now I've attached one of those sideboards with 5 by 20mm nuts, bolts, spring washers. I'll have to take it off again. I did put the spring on for the side stand. You can see it there, but I haven't the side stand connected up properly yet. So that's one side done anyway. Okay, I've started the second one there. I was about to start drilling off, which I'll have to drill off these two here because they're not long enough. And I got a small bit of look at the other side, the two at the other side. The thread is still on the two studs, so hopefully when I'll go to install it now in a second, it'll be long enough that the nuts can actually tighten onto the thing. So I'm going to drill these ones out now. Yes, now I've drilled out the two of them. There's them on the ground. So I can go and try and fit it now at the other side. Okay, the second one went on much easier because I was able to retain the two studs at the back there, which had some threading on them, and I just had to put in two 5 by 20mm bolts. Probably 5 by 12 to 15mm bolts will do with nuts and spring washers. Okay, so now I've started work here on this aluminium trim that goes around here. Now it's pretty difficult to deal with, and originally you can see that there was a small stud there which actually screwed in and caught on the back lip here. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, I think I'll drill a hole through. I'm going to drill one anyway and drill it right through and put a 3mm bolt on it and see how it looks. So I'll come back again when I have one of those installed. Now there's one of the screws holding it in. I think it looks okay once it's countersunk into the aluminium there. So I just need to put a bolt on the other end of it there and then cut it off. Okay, after a few challenging minutes I've managed to get that one on. Now I actually pop riveted it in several places. I put a bolt at the start, but I actually pop riveted it in several other locations down along, like so. I found that was the best way that it would work. So that's one side on. We'll get off. This is one of the engine cowlings. It's got some dents and things on it, so, and it's pretty dirty. So today I'm going to give this a bit of a clean up and have it ready for later stages to put it on. Okay, about an hour later I think, and I've cleaned it off as best I can. So it appears as if the two cowlings go together like so. when they're on the engine. These two line up like so. That appears to be the way they go. So they're covering the engine anyway, so they're to be installed at a later stage, but it's as well to, while I'm waiting for the tools to do the engine, I'm just cleaning up all the bits and trying to get things finished off. Right, this is how the scooter is looking at the moment. I put on these leg shield protectors last night. I have this one to finish ever so slightly there at the bottom, but it's looking too bad. So that's the progress so far. That's how it's looking. Right, so now I was looking at all the bits in the that I have left, and this is the unit for, oops, this is the unit for the suspension at the back, and it goes there. I should have put it on when I was putting those bolts on there, but it can still be put on now at this stage. So this is to take the arm of the suspension, so I'll install that now. Starting to do that there, but I ran into an issue. In the book it states that number 25 they're 6x30mm bolts, and I only had 6x20mm inserted, so I've had to get longer bolts. And number 26 is a small bush, and I've been trying in the box of bits and pieces that are left over, and I actually found one of them, but only one. And it does state on the book number 25 and 26. 25 is 6x30, 2 required, and 26 is a spacer bush, 2 required. So I've only got one. So these 2 bolts here, I'm going to use the 2 of them as the other bush. So I'll come back to that now in a minute. And the reason the bushes are required is to come below, because this metal is at a slope. When you install the bracket for the spring, it's at an angle, and it can't work at an angle, so this will straighten it up. Okay, that's how it looks now before you can see that the bracket is away from the sloping metal. Okay, I've got it on in position, but as you can see, I had to take off that mudguard. I just couldn't tighten the bolts with that in place. That's the bracket there, look, that I presume that one can move that up and down ever so slightly at a later stage. Now I've got to try and get that mudguard back on again. This is the suspension. I've just put it on there just to see what it's like, but I've cleaned this up and everything, but when it's going down it's fine, but when it goes up it seems as if there's something wrong with it. It's banging when it goes up like that as well, so I'd imagine that there's something broken inside in it, so I'll have to take it off and open it up and see what's wrong. I managed to get it back on anyway. It's a bit fiddly, but it's back on, and the suspension is, the thing for attaching the suspension to is attached now. The 2 engine side panels there, just to see what they look like. I have to do some work on this one, as I said early on in the videos. There's a crease here, I might be able to get it out of it without putting stuff on it. And where there was some rust here, it needs to be redone. Other than that, it's not too bad, that one. The one at the other side has some issues. I'll have to get some fiberglass to it, I think, and see if I can fix it. It's missing a bit there. I might be able to sort it, and but it's nice to see what it's like when it's finished anyway.